All right. Today, I just want to tell you a bit of a story of something that happened about 11 years ago. I'm calling it Lost in Love. We'll see if that's accurate.
Are you about to go live?
I am live. Can you step back outside, please? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I messed up the audio this morning. Sorry about that. So, the music was supposed to play, but instead I left my mic playing, and then Eric came in here and said, "Hey, are you live?" And I said, "Yes, I am. Can you please leave?" And I thought that the music was playing while I was talking, but it wasn't. So, anyway, I'm here to tell you a story. And I called that, the title there was Lost in Love. And so I'm using this, if I shake my desk a little bit, it shakes the camera, and so everything behind me moves a bit. I have this, the way I have my camera set up over here, it's just got a little bit too much flex in it, so it's a little scary. So I'm drinking some coffee from that, oh, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's the 1,000 mile coffee or the 100 mile coffee, whatever it was, that was trucker coffee from, I'm totally blanking on the name of the coffee I'm drinking, so it's been too long. I guess I'm flustered because I pushed the wrong buttons. Turned on my mic, turned off the music, all that stuff. Yeah. Technology. That's how it works. You sometimes mess it up. All right, so here's the story. This is I'm drinking my trucker coffee because of the story that I wanted to tell you. So this happened way back, I think it was beginning of 2011, so 11 years ago. It was right around January time frame. And at the time, I worked for Britt White, and he had a pool company. And so several days of the week, I would travel around cleaning pools and maintaining pools for people in the greater San Antonio area. We had several different routes, and I would go take care of the pools. And then on the in-between days, when I wasn't doing that, I would help him, and he had a crew working, building pools. And so then I would drive the dump truck to pick up either the stuff that they were digging out to go haul it off, or I would go haul in the dirt and the gravel or whatever they needed. And sometimes we would take the dump truck and we'd put the trailer in the back of it, and we put different kinds of heavy equipment on it, and I would take it out to the location where they're working. They would unload it, and then they would work, and so I stayed busy doing this. I just was doing different things every day, and so I enjoyed the days when I was driving the dump truck. I did. That was one of the things I'd gotten my CDL, and I enjoyed actually using it a bit, and I didn't always get to use it. So it was kind of fun to actually get to do that. So on the day that I'm remembering, this is what was happening. We had gone out to the northwest side of San Antonio, somewhere out by Helotes, and had picked up, I had the dump truck, and then I had the trailer behind it, but instead of putting any equipment on it, we'd already hauled the equipment down to where we were working, and so now I just had the trailer empty. And so then I loaded up, on the trailer we put multiple pallets of flagstone. The pool we were building was somewhere down by Crystal City, and it was a new build, a new house, new pool, everything was new. It was new wealth. It was some oil company, so somebody had come into money through the oil boom that was happening or had happened, and they were building a brand new palace down there somewhere around Crystal City. And so which is down south of Uvalde somewhere if you look for it. So that's where I was headed at that time. Oh, there's Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hey.
So Peter is having his birthday party today.
My birthday party today, but my birthday was 3 days ago.
The 23rd was your birthday.
23rd.
How old?
10.
10 years old. So Peter is 10 years old, but for your birthday party, what are you doing?
We are going to take up our old house appliances.
So they got a lot of electronics, old appliances and computer type things, and they're going to tear them apart and see what's inside of them.
Yeah.
That's what the party's going to be. So.
And I'm hoping to collect a few motors out of the things we got.
This sounds a little scary for me. What is going to happen with these motors? Are you inventing something that needs electricity?
Yeah.
All right. So main lesson is don't plug it directly in the wall.
I know.
That's
I'm probably going to use a battery if I do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Figure out what wattage means. Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun.
Yeah.
All right. So where was I? Let's see. I was headed out to Helotes. So I'm in the dump truck. Got the trailer behind me. We go out to Helotes. I pull in. They start loading the flagstone for the pool deck and everything. And it's a big pool, so I don't remember how many. I think I might have had the Bobcat on the back as well. And so they were putting the pallets of everything around the Bobcat. And so we loaded her down. And unbeknownst to me, that thing was like probably 2 or 3 times heavier than anything I'd hauled before up until that point, because we put so much flagstone on. I mean, the trailer itself was designed to hold a lot of weight. My issue, which I was about to discover, was that the way the brakes worked, there was something not working with the brakes on the trailer. And so I leave the rock yard there where we picked up all the flagstone, and we start driving out, and Britt, he's behind me, he's in his truck behind me, and we're actually staying, I believe we're spending the night down in Crystal City or somewhere down there, because it's a 2-day job. And so tomorrow when we're finished, I'm supposed to haul the big heavy equipment back up again. And so I get out, I'm on the west side, so I get onto 1604, I'm trying to get down to 35. And on that side of 1604, at least 11 years ago, it wasn't controlled access. There were quite a few red lights along the way. Somewhere there was some red lights. So I get out on 1604 and I start working through the gears. It was an old Mack dump truck. That thing was awesome. It was like a tank. And so I'm working through the gears, and I finally I'm moving, and I'm realizing, I got a load behind me, and I'm not thinking yet, but I got a load behind me, and so I'm going along, and suddenly up ahead of me, I see that the light turns yellow, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to stop. Well, I've got lots of distance, but I step on the brake a little bit, and I don't really slow down. And so I step on the brake a little bit more, and I'm like standing on the air brakes, and like the dump truck is trying, but the trailer is not trying. And so I'm just moving right along, being pushed by the trailer, and the light turns red. The only other traffic I had going my way is in the other lane. Well, no, there were 2 lanes of traffic. The shoulder was very wide, and so I realized I was going to hit the cars because I couldn't stop. So I pull over on the shoulder, and I'm still going, and then I realize the cars are crossing in front of me, and they're not seeing anything going on. So I'm standing on the brake of the old Mack dump truck, hanging on the horn, just whoa! I slide all the way through that intersection. It took me like another 100 yards or more to stop on the other side, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to recalculate because I'm way overweight. And so I talked about it with my boss, and we discussed where we're going, how we're getting there, and we decided to just keep going. And so I'm not telling you how to live your life or what wisdom would have looked like in this circumstance. I'm just telling you what we did. So I make it down to 35. I'm now driving very cautiously. Everything's going to be fine. Britt's still following me behind. And so we're headed down 35. And as we're headed down 35, we're going for quite a ways, and if you've ever driven that path, you go down through Lytle, through Divine, and we're headed down like by somewhere around by Pearsall is the way I remember it, like way down there before we turn west. And so as I'm just driving along, and I suddenly notice that in my mirror in the back, Britt is just flashing his lights at me. He's doing everything, and I'm like, wait, what? And I look, and oh man, I got a flat tire on the trailer. And so I pull over onto the and down there, I mean the shoulder on the interstate is wide, so I pull over on the shoulder on the interstate, and it takes us a while, but we get the flat tire taken care of, and we get it all, we get it taken care of, and we're back on our way. But like when I stopped there, Britt was like, "What is going on? What are you thinking? Are you thinking about a girl today? What's going on?" And like he was halfway serious, but he always ribbed me a little bit. We had a great working relationship. I really enjoyed him and his family, and so I didn't want to tell him that, yes, actually I was thinking about a girl, so I just kind of blew it off, and kept going. And he had tried to call me, but in the dump truck, it's so loud in there, and my phone, the only way I could ever see it is if it stayed in its little cubby up here, so that it would vibrate and the little lights would come on. I'd say, "Oh, there's a phone call coming in," but it would fall off, and so it had fallen down in between, down built by my the shifter, and I hadn't noticed that my phone was gone, so I didn't see he was trying to call me. And he claimed that I drove for like 10 minutes with the flat tire, never noticing him or anything else that was going on. I don't have any good way of disputing the fact that I might have done that for 10 minutes. I'm usually very aware of what's going on with the vehicle I'm towing, but as you can tell, this day has already gone a bit wrong. I mean, I already ran a red light, blaring the horn all the way through, right? That was scary, by the way. You're right, Steve. It was scary. And so then so we replace the tire. We go on our way, and in a couple of it was just a couple of weeks later that I actually officially began talking with Stacie. Well, I've been speaking with her, but I officially started and was like, "Hey, I'm serious. I'd like to go into I'd like to get married. You want to get married?" That kind of was the way I got serious real quick. And so what had been happening was in January of that year, we'd had a lot of conversations, and I was in the middle of making the decision, okay, are we going forward on this or not? And so I had reached out to Stacie to work with me on making a film project earlier, like back in November. We had actually worked together late December, recorded one of my chalk drawings. And so now it was January, and I've been speaking with her quite a bit, and I was just feeling pretty confident that this is the girl that I want to pursue. And so because of that, I was daydreaming. And what I was actually daydreaming about is pretty much, I realized this the other day as I looked around, and I realized what my life looks like right now. I have a wife, I have children, I'm busy as a pastor, I'm a filmmaker, I'm doing all the things that I was dreaming of back 15 years ago, 12 years ago, and then 11 years ago, a little over 11 years ago now. This is when I was driving the truck down 35, just thinking, what would it be like? I was imagining Stacie and thinking about what her gifts and callings were, and I was kind of picturing in my mind the different possibilities for ministry, for film. I was just running all these things through my mind, and was becoming more and more convinced that, yes, this is the girl I want to marry. And so I tried to see if I had any photos of the time that I was at work with Britt, and I don't think that I properly do, but I do have a few pictures of Stacie and me. I'll show these pictures. This is the engagement photo right here. That was my sister Ruth came and took engagement pictures for us. Yeah, we got after it. That's us. So I think we got to go. She played the harp. We went and did some stuff together here. We're practicing a song. Here we're at Living Water Fellowship in Texas, and I'm making the announcement that I've got a girl now, and that we intend to get married, and we did in a couple of months later. And so I was just thinking about that, those days, and how time goes by, and I was dreaming about what's happening right now. I live in this house. I've got children running around. My wife is busy doing stuff. Right now, I was up there a few minutes ago. She's baking a birthday cake for Peter's party this afternoon. and just to see everything that's going on, it just was really cool and awesome to actually see um, that the dreams I dreamed, because what I was beginning to dream back then was wouldn't it be nice to not be so free to travel all the time, but just to have a wife, to actually be tied down, to actually have something to do. And so my dreams were about a family, about what it would look like, and I didn't know, and so I was, you had to start thinking, well, if Stacie and I get married, like, and I imagined I had seen her own home situation where she grew up, and I imagined she would probably be a housekeeper similar to her mom's, and so I was okay with that. That was pretty good. I was imagining we had done. I had seen her interacting with other young people, with other people in ministry situations, and I was pretty much okay with that. I thought, I think the two of us would make a great team. I would love it if we could get together. And so I was just imagining through all of this. But then I also, because it was me, I had to also think through and be like, well, do I have what it takes to be Stacie's husband? And this is a real question for me, because when I was meeting Stacie, let's see, I have a few other pictures here, I think. Let's see if I have the pictures that I'm thinking of. Well, this is interesting. This is totally side story, but that year, one of the first things Stacie did with me after we were officially engaged is she actually came over to Bulverde, where we were, and Britt White's daughter Elizabeth, she and we shared a birthday, and so we actually shared a birthday party that year, and Stacie was there for that birthday party. Here's just me and Elizabeth at the birthday party. There we go. So we were, it's not twins. I forget what you call it when you're twins but not the same day. So there's Elizabeth and her birthday party, and we shared a party that year. So anyhow, I thought I had some other pictures here. Well, it was during this time of engagement. I am not finding the photo that I was thinking of, but like this picture actually is pretty special. Here was I did a chalk drawing, and Stacie came along and she played the harp, and we sang a song together, and that was the very first time we'd done something. So that was after our engagement, before we were married. We had done that together, and it was just so precious to me to imagine that I could be working together with my wife in ministry in the kingdom. And so that was part of what I was dreaming about on I-35 South that day, was just the realization that she passionately loved the Lord. She had a relationship with God. She was reading the Bible and studying and praying every day. She was involved in her community, and we could team up. We could partner together for life. And that was exciting. And so when sometimes now I have to go back, look at the pictures, and to remember in so many ways, Stacie was an answer to prayer in my life. It reawakened hopes and dreams that had sort of begun to die or fade or been tarnished or buried, or I just thought maybe would never happen. And suddenly they were being resurrected, which was very appropriate because her name means resurrection. And so I just remember that day, and Britt was like, "What were you thinking about, girls?" Like, he was teasing me, but he was asking me. And so then later, when we come around and we make our announcement, "Hey, I'm engaged," he looked at me and was like, "So were you thinking about a girl that day?" And I'm like, "Yes, I was." And so it was good. I really appreciated Britt's friendship at the time. A couple of years later, he passed from cancer, and so I really treasure those months that I was with him. I wasn't there for years. I was about a year, I think, that I worked with him, and then I moved in order to go and get married to Stacie and do things. So I think about that time when I was lost in love, and so I guess I don't have a huge lesson in all of this, other than in my own life, the way I see this play out is sometimes I forget the dreams that I had in the past, what I was longing for and what I was waiting for. And sometimes I forget how faithful God has been and that He has done and provided and opened the doors. And I'm actually getting to walk in the path of things that I only dreamed about years ago. Now, the path from there to here required me to, often it required me to change things. It required me to be more disciplined. It required me to be faithful in seeking Him and in walking with the Lord. But God is faithful. And so I'm so grateful that He gave me those dreams and that He then is working things out in my life and that we get to serve God together in the kingdom. That is so beautiful to me. The way Stacie loves the boys and now little Corey. And she's, but not just us. She loves us. She takes care of us. But she loves the community. She has the love of Christ in her. And that is a huge blessing to me. It was so important for me when I was thinking about what would my wife look like. I wanted this. And so now I have it. And so I don't want to forget to now also dream. And so here's some of the dreams that are currently happening. Peter is 10 years old. And so last year he was halfway to 18. And this year he's halfway to 20. And so I'm just suddenly realizing that we're going to be launching some young people pretty soon. And so I'm dreaming about how to launch them well, how to give them the blessing of God and provide for them whatever we can from our limited resources. But God has unlimited resources. So how are we going to launch them? And how is God going to launch them? So I'm praying for them, for what's going to happen in 10 years, in 12 years, in 15 years. So if I think of 11 years ago, I was just about to go on this journey with Stacie. We were at the very, just standing on the very threshold of it. But God was faithful, and here we are. And so now, 11 more years, what's that going to look like? It's actually possible. It's within the realm of possibility that my 10-year-old could be married in 11 more years from now. So he could be on the very threshold of what God's doing in his life. And so that's exciting. So I want to live now in preparation for them there. And I want to remember to dream, but I also want to actually remember to remember. I want to remember what it was like back then. Not necessarily remembering the feeling of hanging onto that Mack wheel and standing on the air brakes and honking the horn all the way through an intersection, but I do want to remember the faithfulness of God. So that was my story for today, and that was it. I just wanted to. I just this morning I woke up and I was thinking I'd love to. Wait a minute, remember that time when I ran that red light? Like, there was one other time that I ran a red light, and I had a bunch of young men with me, and we were down in between Katy and Houston, somewhere on the service road of I-10, and they got into this deep discussion. And so I'm driving, and I'm listening to their discussion, and it's at night, so there's literally no traffic on this road, and so I'm just driving, and they're just talking. They all stop. And I'm like, what? And they said, you ran a red light. And I'm like, I did? They're like, yeah, you just ran a red light. And I'm like, no, I didn't. There was no. And I look in the rearview mirror and there's a red light behind me. And I'm like, I must have run a red light. They said, yeah, you ran a red light. And I'm like, no. Those are the two times that I clearly remember running a red light. Was the time I had some guys with me and they told me I ran a red light. And then the time that I honked my horn all the way through the red light. I'm sure there were other times where I barely made it. But those are. So anyway, those are my stories. The point of the story today was that I was daydreaming and lost in love, thinking about the possibilities of what it could mean that I had found Stacie and that God had brought us together. And so I'm grateful. I'm very thankful for that. So I want to make sure also that I daydream not just for the things here on earth, but that I'm also daydreaming about that day when I will be with Him in glory, because that's going to be an awesome day when I'm with Christ in glory. So daydreaming can be good as long as you don't have a flat tire cruising down the highway. So anyway, that's my story for today. I will see you all next week. Thank you all for joining in. Blessings.